Okay, Bio 202 Illuminati, here we go again. It's time to start talking about the endocrine system, or as most people would say, the endocrine system. Let's try to figure out what we're looking at here. It looks like some deformed alien creature with multicolored stripes. Over here, this is the optic chiasm. Right? Remember the optic chiasm, where the two optic nerves cross? Right? From a sagittal view, it's going to just like a big, you're seeing the middle of the X. This right here is supposed to be the hypothalamus, okay, hypothalamus. And this over here is the hypothalamus as well. This is the anterior pituitary. And this over here is the posterior pituitary. So remember, of the 11 organ systems in the human body, which two control the other 9? That's right, nervous and endocrine. So the hypothalamus, remember, is the homeostatic control center of your body. Hypothalamus has like a big wall full of gauges and dials, and it's monitoring everything: your blood pressure, your blood glucose, your osmolarity, your acid base, and so on. When things are not the way they should be, the hypothalamus has to try to fix them. So the hypothalamus, what are the two control systems again? Nervous, endocrine. It can send out nerve signals, or it can use the endocrine system and send out hormones. Now, here's the deal. The posterior pituitary is also often called the neurohypophysis. Hypophysis, just another name for pituitary. Neuro because it's neural tissue. The anterior pituitary is often called the adenohypophysis, adeno gland. So what's going on here is that the hypothalamus, when it wants to use the endocrine system, it uses the pituitary gland to release hormones to control the body. So notice the anterior pituitary is a gland. Posterior pituitary is really just an extension of the hypothalamus. These are just hypothalamic tracts, projections, neuronal projections coming down here. The hormones are made up here in the hypothalamus, and then they're released from the posterior pituitary. So notice the pituitary is where the two control systems come together. Nervous, endocrine coming together to control. Now what's going to go on here is that the hypothalamus, there's a chain of command, all right? So the hypothalamus is at the top of the chain. Hypothalamus, it's the one in charge. When it uses hormones to control things, it's going to tell the pituitary to release hormones. And then the pituitary in turn is going to release hormones that will go out and affect individual endocrine glands. So see, there's a hierarchy, there's a chain of command. The hypothalamus is in charge, it tells the pituitary what to do, the pituitary tells other endocrine glands what to do. So it's like, this would be the general, and then like colonel, and then, captains and majors and lieutenants and things like that. I was never in the military. It'd be more, let's say like corporate America. This would be like the board of directors and the CEO and then the other managers, but I was never in corporate America. Let's use an example I'm familiar with, MS-13. This would be the carnal, this would be the camarada. Down here you have the primera, the segunda. Yeah, like MS-13 would do anything except kill me on the spot. But nonetheless, there's a chain of command, there's a hierarchy, all right? So there's a ton of hormones to learn, but it's easy to learn hormones if you keep them organized. And I'm going to try to show you how to organize them right now. Organizing them is very logical, and it will help you keep them straight in your head, and it will take a whole bunch of hormones and put them into a smaller number of concepts, okay? So let's start looking at individual hormones here. So these are the hypothalamic hormones that are controlling the anterior pituitary. What do you see in common about each one of these hormone abbreviations? Stop the video, think about it, come back when you're done. That's right. Every one of these is either RH or IH. See? RH, IH, RH, 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 IH, RH. Okay? Each one of these is an RH or an IH. RH stands for releasing hormone. IH stands for inhibiting hormone. So what's happening here is that the hypothalamus is either telling the anterior pituitary to release, or it's inhibiting the release. So see already, we've noticed, you always know hypothalamic hormones that affect the anterior pituitary simply by the fact that they have RH or IH. All right? No other hormone has RH and IH. It's that easy. Let's start here with the first set. PRH, PIH. P stands for prolactin, all right? Lactin, lactose, lactate, milk. Produce. So what does prolactin do? It tells your body to produce milk. So the hormone then in the anterior pituitary is PRL, which is prolactin. So see, the hypothalamus, if we need to produce milk or if we don't need to produce milk, it will release either PRH or PIH. That tells the anterior pituitary either release PRL or don't release PRL. And then PRL goes out to where do you suppose PRL is going to have its effect? Yes, that's right. It's going to have its effect in the mammary glands. It will tell the mammary glands to produce milk. See how easy this is already? PRH, PIH, PRL. P for prolactin, to produce milk, okay? Let's look at the next one. TRH, thyrotropin releasing hormone. Thyrotropin is for the thyroid. Trope is a good Greek root word. It means to turn. Like, flowers do what's called a phototropism. You know how as the sun moves across the side, there are flowers that will follow the sun? So trope means to turn, to change, to adapt. It's a very broad underlying root word, but thyrotropin releasing hormone is going to be a hormone that ultimately has an effect on the thyroid. It's going to, the hypothalamic thyrotropin releasing hormone goes down here to the anterior pituitary, where it tells the anterior pituitary to release TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. What do you suppose thyroid stimulating hormone does? Yes, that's right. It stimulates the thyroid. What's big and red and eats rocks? A big red rock eater. Why don't you ever see a hippopotamus hiding in the trees? Because they're really good at it. Why shouldn't you eat a clock? Because it's time consuming. So thyroid stimulating hormone goes to the thyroid, and guess what it tells the thyroid to release? Yes, that's right. Thyroid hormone. So look, the hierarchy, the chain of command. The hypothalamic thyrotropin releasing hormone tells anterior pituitary to release thyroid stimulating hormone, which tells the thyroid gland to release thyroid hormone. And we'll see thyroid hormone is a very powerful hormone. In a way, it's almost like a growth hormone. It stimulates a lot of things to happen in the body. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone. Again, tropin, just like before, releasing. Cortico-cortex, Greek root word, bark, like the bark of a tree. Are we talking about the cerebral cortex here? No. We're talking about the adrenal cortex, because the adrenal gland is an endocrine gland, okay? So corticotropin releasing hormone is going to tell the anterior pituitary to release ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. Look at corticotropin, see, same sets of concepts, letters, words, everything. So ACTH, where's it going to go? Adrenal corticotropic hormone. It's going to go to the adrenal cortex. It tells you right where it goes, right in the abbreviation. When it gets to the adrenal cortex, remember, we saw that the adrenal cortex has three regions: the zona glomerulosa, the zona fasciculata, the zona reticularis. Coincidentally, GFR. And remember, I told you, GFR, salt, sugar, sex, GFR, salt, sugar, sex. Like at a football game, you'd have the two section stands, GFR, salt, sugar, sex, GFR, salt, sugar, sex. So G, zona glomerulosa, salt. Which hormone causes us to retain salt? It's our old buddy aldosterone. Remember, and his brother Benny? Aldosterone. So adrenocorticotropic hormone goes to the adrenal cortex, goes to the zona glomerulosa, tells it to release aldosterone, all right? Who's next? Fasciculata, salt, sugar. The sugar hormone is cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that raises blood sugar. It also has immunosuppressant effects, so we'll talk more about it, but cortisol, zona fasciculata, raise blood sugar. So salt, sugar, sex, GFR, zona reticularis. Who's last? Who's next? I'm going to kind of get a little loose here with conceptual things and terminology. We're going to say estrogen and testosterone. Now, this is a little bit not completely right. What we do is from the reticularis, actually they're androgen precursors that then go to your gonads and cause them to release these hormones. So estrogen, by the way, is not really an individual hormone, it's a category of hormones. There's estradiol, estrone, estriol, I think there's another one. Testosterone, this is kind of like the main androgen, but there's others, androstenedione, DHEA, a bunch of others. We're going to kind of use estrogen and testosterone as just shorthand to include all the estrogens and all the androgens, okay? So, ACTH, see, once again, a hierarchy, a chain of command. Hypothalamic hormone, pituitary, anterior pituitary hormone, and then we go to the adrenal cortex and release the hormones there. The chain of command, okay? Let's look at GHRH and GHIH. GH, growth hormone. So we've either got growth hormone releasing hormone, growth hormone inhibiting hormone. And what do you suppose it's going to release or inhibit from the anterior pituitary? Growth hormone. Growth hormone. And then that's simply going to get released out into the body. Growth hormone, very powerful. This is what the athletes used to cheat with. Not only does it help you grow, it helps you repair tissue. We release naturally a lot of growth hormone at night, mostly for repair. But when we do need to do that, once again, we got a chain of command. Growth hormone comes straight out of the anterior pituitary and then goes to various organs of the body, liver, bones, muscle, and so on. Causes changes in all of them. Then GnRH. GnRH, GN stands for gonads. I think we all know the gonads, all right? Gonads, gonadotropin releasing hormone. What is it going to do? It's going to tell the anterior pituitary to release FSH and LH. Let's talk about those just briefly here for a moment. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. Where you hear follicle, think for females, follicle means egg. For male, follicle means sperm, all right? So it's basically the corresponding things. So what we're going to do here, FSH is going to go to the gonads and either promote sperm production or maturation of the egg. LH, luteinizing hormone, yellow. This is, we're going to see the corpus luteum, all right? Luteinizing hormone is for females, think of it as the ovulation hormone. This is the hormone that triggers ovulation. For males, it's a testosterone, all right? But what these do then is they get released here, they go out to the gonads and cause the release then of the, causes whatever I just said, all right? Either maturation of sperm egg or the production of testosterone, okay? So they will in turn get released and go out and do their job, okay? See, if you organize them conceptually, it makes it a lot easier. We've already got a whole bunch of hormone names up here, but they fall into nice, neat conceptual categories, and that's the way to master them and control them, okay? Then let's move over here to the posterior. What's going to happen here is there are no intermediate pituitary hormones because this is an extension of the hypothalamus down here. So these hormones simply are made in the hypothalamus and then released. They come down here and are released straight out of the posterior pituitary. So remember ADH. What's ADH? We know ADH. ADH, anti-diuretic hormone, diuresis, peeing, causes you to pee less. You retain water, therefore total volume of fluid in the body goes up, extracellular fluid, therefore we increase stroke volume, therefore we increase blood pressure. Remember, ADH, part of the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Works in the DCT and other places, but the DCT. And how does it work again? Causes the expression of aquaporin channels. Agua. Water causes you to retain water, all right? And then finally, OT. OT is oxytocin. Oxytocin is sometimes called the cuddle hormone. Oh my God. But oxytocin has a very important effect here. Remember we saw prolactin was to produce milk. Well, guess what? Oxytocin also has to do with milk. The American Dairy Council must be just ecstatic. So To remember what OT does, think of there as being a little U in the middle. What does it cause? It causes milk to get out. First, we need prolactin to produce milk. Then we need to get the milk out so that little parasite can feed. So oxytocin then goes to the mammary glands and causes the release of milk. So take a look there. We've got a lot of hormones, but see, they follow nice conceptually organized pathways. That's the way to gain control over a bunch of the hypothalamic and pituitary hormones. Keeping them conceptually organized, the chain of command, is a way to get mastery over them. So text me, email me with questions.